We are less than 1 week away from the 2021 Major League Baseball Draft. In today's video, I'm going to do a draft big board. Now, a draft big board is basically like my top 30 prospects in this case for the 2021 Major League Baseball Draft. This is who I think should be the first round picks in the 2021 Major League Baseball Draft. And that's what I'm going to be doing in today's video. But before I get into this video, 88% of you that watch these videos are not subscribed. So go ahead and get your life together and hit that subscribe button, turn notifications, and leave a like. Also, check out my mock drafts. Check out my other videos that I've done on the 2021 Major League Baseball Draft because there's a ton of them. There's going to be a ton of them this week on the channel as well. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn notifications, and leave a like. Let's go ahead and get into this video with my 2021 MLB Draft Big Board. Now, my number one prospect in this draft is a high school shortstop, Marcelo Meyer. He's out of East Lake High School in California. And I think that there's a ton of risk with high school prospects, and I know that there's a ton of risk with high school prospects. But Marcelo Meyer does not, like when you watch him, you don't see anything that would make you say like, oh, that's a risk in his game. He hits for high average. He hit for almost a 350 batting average in high school in his senior season at East Lake High School. He's got a great glove in the field. We haven't seen that power yet, but I do think that power will develop for Marcelo Meyer. Meyer is my number one player in the draft. And even though I don't think that the Pirates are going to take him at number one, I think that the Rangers in my mock draft are getting him at 2, and that's absolutely great value. If he doesn't go number 1, then that number 2 team or even number 3 team questionably gets him. They are going to be feeling really good about their pick. Meyer, I don't think is going to take a ton of time to get up either. He's committed to Southern California, but it's probably going to get to the 2021 Major League Baseball Draft. Next up, at number 2 on my big board, I've got a catcher out of Louisville, Henry Davis. There has been, in previous years, definitely, just like, kind of like a track of catchers going very high in the draft. You look at 2019, Adley Rutschman was the consensus number 1 pick coming out of Oregon State. You had Joey Bart coming out of, I don't remember where Joey Bart went to, but Joey Bart was, I think, a number 1 or number 2 pick back in 2018. Like, there's been some catchers there, and Henry Davis is a really good catcher. Now, he's got a great arm. He was the best hitter in college last year. Now, his all-around defense is going to have to be worked on a little bit. But if you're looking at Henry Davis, he is really, really good. He's another player that is coming out of college at Louisville last year, and he is really, really good. And that defense, I think, is only going to get better. And even if his defense stays the way it is, it's not going to be like Gary Sanchez on the defensive end. So, yeah. At number 3, I've got another college player. And in this case, a college arm, Jack Leiter of Vanderbilt. Jack Leiter is one of the best players in this draft. He's son of former World Series champion, I think 2-time All-Star, and Al Leiter. And Jack Leiter was actually drafted in 2019 in the 20th round by the New York Yankees. I'm sure they would love to have him now. But Leiter, oh my gosh, he's got a great fastball. He does need and he's got a curveball as well. His slider's good. His changeup's good. His control might need a little bit of work, but I'm not too concerned. He's got a 70 fastball grade, 55 slider, 50 control, 60 curveball, 55 changeup, and a 60 overall player as far as his scouting grades go on MLB.com. He's the most ready player in this MLB draft. If you're talking about a list of most ready players in this draft and you don't mention Jack Leiter, you just don't know what you're talking about. Jack Leiter is so good. I've got him going number 4 to the Red Sox in my mock draft. And Leiter, he is really, really good. And he gets comparisons to Sonny Gray, another former Vanderbilt star. Jack Leiter is a really, really good player. At number 4, I've got Jordan Lawler. He's another high school shortstop out of Dallas Jesus Prep. And he is committed to Vanderbilt, but it's probably going to go to the 2021 Major League Baseball Draft. As far as the scouting grades on MLB.com go, he's got a 55 hit, 60 run, 55 field, 55 power, 60 arm, and a 60 overall player. He compares to me like a Brian Hayes, but a shortstop. And he is really, really good. Now, he's another high school shortstop. I have him going at number 3 to Detroit in my mock draft. He's getting some comparisons to Bobby Witt Jr., which is a great comparison there for Lawler. And Lawler is going to be a very good player in the major leagues. At number 5, I've got a shortstop, another prep shortstop, Cahill Watson, a shortstop out of Wake Forest High School in North Carolina. Now, he is committed to North Carolina State, but is probably going to go to the draft as well. And Cahill Watson, wow. Cahill Watson is one of the players that is really well-rounded. And he is 5'9", but he plays more like a 6'5" player. He's got a 55 hit, 65 run, 55 field, 55 power, 55 arm, and a 60 overall player. He is a really, really good player. And a team that gets him is going to love to have him. And I can see him going as high as number 2 to number 1. I see his draft stock even going up even more as the draft comes. And he's probably going to be an underslot pick. He could be an underslot pick at number 1 or number 2 here. And I don't totally know how. Now, there is a chance for him being selected number 1 overall. It's unlikely, but it could happen. You never know. There's been some in the past, and the Pirates want to save money with an underslot possible pick. And that's why the rumors of Henry Davis have came out for 1. But I don't like the idea of them selecting a shortstop. I think number 2 is probably as high as he's going to go. Number 6 on my big board, I have got Coomer Rocker, another player out of Vanderbilt. And there have been a ton of concerns about Coomer Rocker recently. A ton of scouts are just really not feeling Coomer Rocker right now. And Rocker was the consensus number 1 overall pick in this draft for quite a while. And Coomer Rocker, I mean, he's 6'5" on the mound. He was a 2018 38th rounder, but he was ranked number 23 when he was back as a high schooler in 2018. But he had some really good seasons, and then this year, especially after his College World Series performance, was just not very good. I still think that there's a ton of potential for Rocker, and I think the highest he's going to go is number 4, personally, and that's just if Jack Leiter's off the board for the Red Sox at number 4. He's got a 65 fastball, 70 slider. He's a fastball slider type pitcher. He has a good curveball as well with a 60 curveball, 50 changeup, 50 control, and a 60 overall player. He's very good, but the concerns are starting to show up. At number 7, we've got a prep arm here, Jackson Jobe, out of Heritage Hall High School in Oklahoma. He's committed to the University of Mississippi, and he's got a 60 fastball. We all know about the slider. He's got a 70 slider. He has over 3,000 RPM on that slider, which is absolutely crazy. He has good control for his pitches as well with a 50 control, 55 curveball, 60 changeup, and a 60 overall player. The most recent actually Oklahoma high schooler to go was Dylan Bundy back 10 years ago. Shows how long there was between a prep arm in Oklahoma. And Jackson Jobe is my favorite player in this draft. Jackson Jobe has so much potential with that just crazy slider, his good control for the pitches. He has a good fastball and a good changeup, and the curveball is good as well. This guy is really, really good. I think that this guy's pretty MLB ready too. I'm not saying that he's Jack Leiter-ish ready, but he's pretty ready for the major leagues, I think. I had him going to the Angels in my mock draft, I'm pretty sure. At number 8, I've got a player out of Georgia in Harry Ford. Harry Ford is a high school prospect out of North Cobb High School in Georgia. And this guy has been coming up draft boards as of recent. Now, we don't really know where he's going to play. He is a catcher, but this guy is versatile. He can play outfield. He could play just about anywhere you want him to. And we've never seen a player like this before. If you look at his best hit tool or his best tools on MLB.com, his best tool is actually running, which you never see from a catcher. That shows you how good Harry Ford is. Harry Ford can play just about anywhere, and Harry Ford is very versatile. And I like Harry Ford's game a lot. He's got a 50 hit, 60 run, 55 field, 50 power, 55 arm, and a 55 overall player. Now, he's a catcher, but he might be just a all-around utility player. I had him going number 7 to Kansas City in my mock draft. And any team that gets this guy and they can develop him right is going to be in a very good position. At number 9, I'm going with a Texas right-hander, Ty Madden. Ty Madden is a questionable pick here because you don't know where he's going to be. Is he going to be a starter? Is he going to be a reliever? That's one of the biggest questions we have with Ty Madden. Ty Madden's a 6'3" righty. He was drafted in the 2018 at 34th round by Kansas City, but instead decided to go to Texas. Like I said, we don't know if he's going to be a reliever or a starter, and that's a risk that teams are going to have to take. I've got him going number 10 to the New York Mets in my mock draft. Like I said, check out the mock draft, though. Don't check out the mock draft. But if we're looking here, he's got a 60 fastball, 60 slider. He's a fastball slider type pitcher, 55 control, 50 curveball, 55 changeup, and a 55 overall player. Next up at number 10, I've got Brady House, another player out of Georgia. He's a shortstop out of Winter High School in Georgia. Now, he was a consensus top prospect and probably the most famous player in this 2021 high school class entering this summer. He left a bunch of question marks here after struggling a lot at the plate there, and that brought me to some concerns as well. And that brought me to even thinking, does he need to go to college where he's committed to Tennessee? I don't think the answer is that, but Brady House is a great prospect and still has a ton of potential. And he's got a 60 power, 60 arm, 50 hit, 50 run, and a 50 field, and a 60 overall player. But those questions led a lot of people to think that maybe he's just not that type of prospect here. And Brady House, I still think, does have a ton of potential. He could play third. He could play short. He's got a great arm out there. And I don't know if he's a third or shortstop. I had him going 8 to the Rockies in my mock draft, which would be a perfect fit for them. At number 11 in the big board, I have Matt McLean. He's a shortstop, center fielder, third baseman, second baseman, wherever you want to put him. Matt McLean is. Matt McLean is out of UCLA, and Matt McLean was a 2018 first rounder as well by the Arizona Diamondbacks with the 25th pick. And Matt McLean is a player that is just one of those players that you love to see. He's kind of like Nick Madrigal, where he doesn't strike out. He always is putting the ball in play. Not hitting for a ton of power, but always putting the ball in play. And that's what you love to see. He's got 60 hits, 60 run, 50 field, 50 power, 60 arm, 55 overall. And he could be a player similar to like Whit Merrifield, because I think that power is going to develop. I think as he gets better development, as he gets better development, he is going to get more power. And that's going to be really, really good. He's 5'11", 180 right now. He's going to be a really good player. And this is a guy that he is just a very, very good hitter. And that's going to keep him into the lineup just about every day. And this is why this is a pretty safe pick with Matt McLean as well. Next up at number 12 on my big board, I have got a college arm in Sam Batchman. He's a right-hander from Miami, Ohio. Sam Batchman is a player that really, really is good. And he is one of those players, keep your eye out. Like, don't be surprised if he goes as high as number 9. Like, if Coomer Rocker and Jack Leiter are off the board, he could go as high as number 9. For his scouting grades, he's got a 70 fastball, 55 changeup, 65 slider, 50 control, 55 overall. This guy has thrown as high as 102. And that stuff, just that stuff in general, will blow him by the minors. The minor leaguers cannot catch up to that. They can barely catch up to 96. They're not going to be able to catch up to that. They can't catch up to 102. But he's also got that deadly slider as well. And Sam Batchman is a really good pitcher. Now, I know you're going to start saying, oh, well, there wasn't a lot of competition at Miami, Ohio last year, which is absolutely true. But Sam Batchman was ready for the competition last year. And Sam Batchman, I think he's probably more of a reliever, right? I don't know if he's a reliever or a starter. I'm going to assume more reliever. So, yeah. Next up at number 13 on my big board, I have Sal Frelick. He's a right fielder from Boston College. Sal Frelick, you're either really high on him or really low on him. There's kind of no in between. He's got 60 hit, 70 run, 55 field, 45 power, 50 arm, and 55 overall. He's similar to Matt McLean, who we just talked about. He doesn't have a lot of power, but he's a good hitter. And in this case, he's a good runner, which is going to help him out a lot. And I've got some questions about a lot of the outfielders in this class. And Sal Frelick is no different. He went to I guess a little bit of a smaller school in Boston College, and Sal Frelick can hit the baseball. There's no question about him hitting the baseball. But I don't know if the power is ever going to show up. I think he's going to be a solid player, but I don't know if he ever transitions into the superstar. And if you're taking him in the top 10, you probably want a superstar-ish player. Next up here at number 14, we've got a high school arm. We've got Andrew Painter. He's a right-handed pitcher out of Calvary Christian High School in Florida. Andrew Painter is another one of my favorite pitchers in the draft. He's committed to Florida, but probably going to go to the draft. He's 6'7" on the mound and 215. He's got a 60 fastball, 50 slider, 55 control, 55 curveball, 55 changeup, and has 50 overall player. He has huge raw stuff. Like, he's very raw. He's going to take a little bit of time to develop. That means that a team's going to have to be patient with him. You don't need to rush him up through the minor leagues. A team needs to be patient with this guy. And if they can get a patient team with Andrew Painter, then he is going to be a really, really good player. But if a team is rushing him, and I think that could be the Yankees. Like, if the Yankees draft this guy, he could be rushed through the minor leagues just because the Yankees will need pitching. And I don't want that for Andrew Painter. So, yeah, at number 15, I have got a position player and a pitcher. Bubba Chandler. He's out of North Accounty High School in Georgia, and he is another player from Georgia, our third one already. Some people are really, really high on Bubba Chandler, and some just aren't here. So, Bubba Chandler, I see him being more as a pitcher here. That's just my opinion. I see him being more as a pitcher. But here, he's committed to Clemson. He's probably going to go to the draft. He can bat from the left and right side. And as far as it goes here, he's got a 45 hit, 55 run, 55 field, 50 power, arm 70, of course, and 45 overall. And MLB.com agrees with me. 60 fastball, 50 slider, 50 control, 55 curveball, 50 changeup, and a 50 overall player. I think he's going to be better as a pitcher. But if he can be a pitcher and a shortstop, he is going to be really, really good. Now, I think he's more of a pitcher, like I said. But still, if you can manage for him to play both positions, then you're going to be feeling really, really good about your selection here. At number 16, I've got Ryan Kouskik. He is a college pitcher out of Wake Forest. This guy has nasty stuff. He is going to throw 100-ish. And he's a little bit of a question mark. He was a 2018 40th round pick because he posted a 6 ERA in his 2018 season, but then just came out and started dealing. So Ryan Kouskik is got a 70 fastball, 50 slider, 45 control, 55 curveball, 50 changeup, 50 overall player. He doesn't have a verified second pitch, but that's something that can be worked on. He's going to be a reliever out of the pen, and yeah, he's from Massachusetts, a Massachusetts high schooler. But he went to Wake Forest, and yeah, he was a 2018 40th round pick by Cincinnati. I would love to see him in that spot still. Next up at number 17, I've got Anthony Salamato. He's a left-hander out of Bishop Estaines High School in New Jersey. Anthony Salamato has a weird delivery. He is committed to North Carolina. This guy, his delivery is weird. He's got a 55 fastball, 50 changeup, 50 overall player, 55 slider, and 55 control. He's getting comparisons to Mad Bum and Mackenzie Gore, which look as great comparisons, which they should be. But Anthony Salamato, if he lives up to those comparisons, he's going to be a really, really good player. And he's been raising his stock a lot over the last couple months. At number 18, I've got Colton Cowser, an outfielder from Sam Houston State. Colton Cowser, I'm not as high on as a lot of people are. A lot of people think that this guy is like one of the top guys. I've heard rumors that he could go as high as number 5 to Baltimore because they want to go under slot with that pick. But for his scouting grades, he's got a 60 hit, 60 run, 55 field, 50 power, 50 arm, and a 55 overall player. He was a late bloomer at his high school in Cypress Ranch High School in Cypress, Texas. And here's the thing. He played with Ty Madden there and a couple other big leaguers. But I'm not a fan of Colton Cowser. I think that there's a ton of concern. Do you see his swing? He just stands up, like totally swinging. Doesn't bend his knees, nothing. And another concern is Sam Houston State. That's a small college. And he was a great hitter there. Like, he hit for 350 batting average. But I don't know when there's more competition there. I don't know that he's going to be able to do that. I don't. And I'm very concerned. And Sam Houston State, like I said, is a small state. It's a small school that doesn't play a ton of competition. And I'll be interested to see what he does when he gets to the majors. Next up at 19, I've got Joe Mack, a catcher from Williamsville East High School in New York. Joe Mack, this guy's going to be a first rounder, most likely. He's got a 55 hit, 40 run, 50 field, 50 power, 60 arm, and a 50 overall player. He's committed to Clemson, but it's probably going to go to the draft. Next up at number 20, I've got Jordan Wicks, a left-hander from Kansas State. He'll be the first. He's most likely going to be the first ever first rounder from Kansas State. He's a lefty. Kind of gives me Julio Urias vibes here. That's my comparison for it. 55 fastball, 55 slider, 55 control, 45 curveball, 65 changeup, and a 55 overall player. If he lives up to that potential, then he's going to be a really, really good player. And Kansas State is a smaller school as well, so there is some concern to be had with Jordan Wicks. He's number 16 on MLB.com. Next up, at number 21, I've got Joshua Baez. He's an outfielder from Dexter Southfield High School in Massachusetts. Southfield, my gosh. Joshua Baez. This guy is a 2-outcome hitter. He swings at everything. And he's got a ton of power, though. His power is crazy. He's committed to Vanderbilt, but it's going to go to the draft most likely. But this guy, if a team gets a hold of him that can develop him really well, then they're going to be feeling really, really good. Not to mention that I think a team that doesn't even develop him that great still probably would do well with him. Like I said, he is a 2-outcome hitter. He's got to stop just swinging at everything. And once he does, he's got a great arm in the outfield and is great defensively. And when that happens, he's going to be a really, really good player. Next up, at number 22, Chase Petty, a righty from Mainland High School in New Jersey. Chase Petty is another arm from high school in this draft. He's committed to Florida. And Chase Petty has a 70 fastball, but no true second pitch, with 50 changeup, 55 slider, 50 control, and 50 overall player. So, yeah, there have been previous very good New Jersey pitchers like Jay Groom, Rick Porcello, and more. Next up here at number 23, I have Michael McGreevy. He's a right-hander from UC Santa Barbara. I've seen a lot of mock drafts where he's going to my Braves, which I would like. In his first year at UC Santa Barbara, he pitched out of the bullpen, and he got first team All-Big West. Then in 2020, he transitioned to the rotation. So this guy could play either. If you really wanted him to be in the rotation, he could. If you wanted him to be in the bullpen, really, then he could. And that's really, really good right there. He's versatile, I guess you could say, as a pitcher. But he's 6'4". He's got a 55 fastball, 55 slider, 50 curveball, 50 changeup, 60 control, and a 50 overall. He's got great control with his pitches, and he's solid all around with all of his pitches. None of his pitches is just overpowering good. But this guy, I think, is going to be very, very good in the majors. Next up at number 24, we've got Gunnnar Haglin. He is going to be one of the biggest risks in this draft. Probably the biggest risk. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. So, he was a supplement first-round pick by the Pirates back in 2018. And this guy was going to go top 10 overall before he needed Tommy John surgery and that ended his season. He's 6'4", 220, and he's got a 55 fastball, 55 slider, 60 control, 50 curveball, 55 changeup, and a 50 overall player. And this guy's a really good pitcher, but the Tommy John surgery may make him even fall backwards to the second round, which is going to suck for him. But still, he's got to have Tommy John, and basically he might be out till, I don't even know, 2023. Next up, at number 25, Will Bednar, right-handed pitcher for Mississippi State. We saw Mississippi State win the College World Series this year, and which is good to see. And Will Bednar was a big reason of that. Did you see his performance in Game 3? It was fantastic. He was unhittable. He has a 60 fastball, 60 slider, 55 control, 55 curveball, 50 changeup, and 50 overall player. And this guy, I think that he's going to see his draft stock rise up. I think that you might see this guy as a top 20 pick in this year's draft. Like, he may really rise up that much, and I wouldn't even mind it. This guy, Will Bednar, he's going to be a very good pitcher, and just seeing him pitching in the College World Series like that definitely moved him up on this big board for me. He was already in the top 30, but that moved him up even more for me. It just moved him up even more for me because of the clutchness of that. You need to be clutch, and he is clutch. Next up at number 26, Colson Montgomery, a third baseman from Southridge High School in Indiana. There have been some rumors of this guy going 10 to the Mets, which is crazy. But they're trying to get a pick under slot value like they've done before with Brett Beatty and Matt Allen. And he's committed to Indiana. He's probably not going there, especially if the Mets draft him at number 10. It's going to be an under slot value pick. But he's not going to Indiana if he's getting the number 10 pick, I can go ahead and tell you. He's got a 50 hit, 45 run, 50 field, 55 power, 55 arm, and a 50 overall player. Also, Montgomery, I think, is a very good player, but he's not a top 10 talent in this draft. I can go ahead and tell you that. At number 27, Judd Feynman, an outfielder from College, Florida. And this guy, his draft stock has fallen off a cliff. And we were talking about coming into this year, and I was making some mock drafts, and he was going top 3, and that was everybody's mock draft at that point. Him and Adrian Del Castillo, who also went to a college in Florida with Miami, have went down a lot. And he's got some comparisons to Mookie Betts here, which if he ever is to that level, then they'll probably regret not taking him number 1 in the draft. And he's got a 45 hit, 55 run, 50 field, 60 power, 50 arm, and a 50 overall player. Judd Feynman, I think he's going to be a good player, but the development is going to need to be good. Next up at number 28, another really good arm, I think, and that's Gavin Williams, a college arm out of ECU. Gavin Williams here. Gavin Williams is a very, very good player, a player that is absolutely nasty on the mound. He's 6'6". He was a 2017 30th round pick by Tampa Bay. I would love to see Tampa Bay get him in the first round. This year he's hitting 100 at East Carolina. Now, I know East Carolina is not the biggest school ever, but still, he's got a 70 fastball, 50 slider, 50 control, 55 curveball, 55 changeup, and a 50 overall player. Next up at number 29, I've got Benny Montgomery. He's an outfielder from Redland High School in Pennsylvania. I'm not big on Benny Montgomery. I think that this guy is really overrated. I'm sorry, but he's overrated. His swing just looks torn up to me, like it does to quite a few people. But, man, Benny Montgomery, I just see a lot of concerns, not to mention that he's a high school prospect too, which there's always concerns with high school prospects. He's 6'4", yes, and he can hit the ball. Still, with his weird swing, he can hit the ball, but I've got some concerns about Benny Montgomery. And my final player on this list at number 30 is a player that is actually at number 42 on or 54 on MLB.com. I think he deserves a lot more recognition than this. I think he's a first-round talent. He was drafted in the 2018 34th round by the Cleveland baseball team. He's 6'1", and he can play shortstop, and he's a pitcher. Spencer Shellwin back from Nebraska. I really like this guy. I saw him at the draft combine when I was watching the draft combine, and dang, I was surprised. Because this guy was throwing 96. He continuously was hitting the plate. Like, there was not, I don't think there was a pitch that was out of the zone when he was pitching. He's got a 60 fastball, 55 changeup, 50 overall player, 60 slider, 55 control. His hitting, 50 hit, 50 run, 45 field, 50 power, 70 arm, 45 overall. He's going to be a pitcher in my opinion. But if he can provide the hitting too, oh my, teams are going to really love having Spencer Shelton back. And we're going to see that as a steal, especially if he goes in the second round, which is where MLB.com projects him to go. But I think he's a way better talent than a late second rounder in this case. So yeah, that's going to be the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because like I said, 88% of you that watch these videos are not subscribed. So go ahead and get your life together and hit that subscribe button, turn notifications, and leave a like. Thank you for watching, and peace.